Welcome, everyone. Not Monday, today's Tuesday. It's the first day of the work week for me. Everyone. Okay, so today we are continuing with our exploration of simulating humans in Omniverse. And last week we were looking at omni.anim.people and learning about that new extension, about how you can use it to give people, agents, commands, and like go to or to queue or to look around. And so we did a bit of that. And part of that used, for example, when you said go to position X, Y, Z, it would use a nav mesh to figure out how to navigate the environment and get to that location. And so the tutorial that we were following just gave some basic instructions on how to set up a nav mesh. But I thought it'd be a good idea to look at the navigation mesh extension today and get a better understanding of how that works and what all the buttons and knobs do. So that's what we're doing today. And if you're here, let me know. Say hi. And we will get started. Okay, so I have Isaac Sim here. This is what we're going to be using today. This is, again, only available on Isaac Sim for now, but with plans to release to other apps later this year. So what we need here is, if we look at extensions, we should find navigation in here. And I already have it enabled because I set it to auto load from when I was using it last week. And now we can go ahead and start following along with the documentation and see where that takes us. Okay. Documentation. So navigation mesh currently in beta, plans to release fully in 2023, like I mentioned. Generates polygonal mesh, which is the blue mesh that we saw, indicating locations that that can be traversed versus anywhere where there isn't a mesh, like this area right here, would be traversable. So you would your agent would walk around it. So enabling the extension, we already did that. Now let's create a nav mesh. So we will come over to Isaac Sim, and it said create navigation nav mesh volume. Cool. We might need a ground plane, but we'll see. It says it'll automatically be built on the ground. And then there are bake settings for the nav mesh, which are located in window, navigation, nav mesh. So let's take a look at that. Window, navigation, nav mesh. And the agent height in world units. So let's create a cube here. And my cube is 0.5, so it's probably a meter, but let's take a look at our preferences to see what the default units are in here. Nope. Where am I supposed to be? I guess it would be here, property of my root layer, meters per unit, so 1 meter. 1 unit is 1 meter. So that is correct. So if I want this to be 2 meters tall in Z, and I don't know, half a meter, that's fine. And we'll go ahead and move that up. So hopefully that suffices for our agent for now. And hello there, everyone that's joined so far since we started. Welcome. Let me know if you have any questions as we go along. We are exploring the NavMesh bundle extension here. I don't like the lighting. That'll load. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna say the height of our agent is 2 units, which is 2 meters. And the max radius, I think, of our agent is 1 meter. No, I guess it would be half a meter. Nope, 0.25 because it's half a meter wide. Slope and max climb. And should auto bake. So this is where I think we do need a plane. Looks like it put a nav mesh on top of our dude. There it goes. So as I'm making changes to the stage, because of the auto rebake, it's actually updating live here. If I turn it off and I change my scaling, oops, you would see here that it's not updating. And then you can set a delay on how often you want it to rebake. So this would be every 1 second after making a change. So now I have to do a new change. Plane. NavMesh is its own prim. So it's this one here that I added by doing create navigation NavMesh volume. But what I do think it's doing is it's on the bakes or rebakes, it is checking. You can see here what it actually has. It doesn't have much in terms of properties. Those are all custom. Yeah, it doesn't have much in terms of properties, but I think it's on those stage changes, or when I click rebake, it will evaluate the meshes in my scene and determine how it wants to build a new nav mesh. So far so good. Let's check out what else we got here. What I'd like to do is, if we have time, is do a little sculpt in Blender for some hills and valleys and see how it generates that. So we accessed the settings through the window menu. You could also get to those settings from the property panel like I had where I was over here. So that'll open up that same window. It's kind of cool. That baked mesh, I think it talks about that in a minute. We went through some of these. Maximum slope, maximum angle in degrees that the nav mesh will build for. So once I get into the hills and valleys scenario, I may want to tweak that a bit. And maximum height of objects the agent can step over. So if we have steps, potentially that would be important. Those are the auto rebake options that we talked about. And then the caching, you can cache previous results to speed up future bakes, which I didn't see that option. Or it didn't really stand out to me when I was looking here. It's under here. Okay, and we can check where the cache folder is. I'm guessing, yeah, so it's local OV cache. So every app and version will have a cache folder. These can be deleted between Omniverse sessions. They shouldn't be. I think they do get reused. A lot of extensions will reuse if they find something. But it should be safe to delete it, and then you can always it's data that you should be able to regenerate. Whether that's slow or not is another story. Cool. So then there's the baked mesh. Looks like a tab. And so you can choose meshes that, which meshes will affect will influence the nav mesh baking. And so by default, it will ignore rigid bodies. But you can also put explicit meshes that you want to ignore. So let's try putting, I don't know, a cone. There we go. So we can see here as I'm putting in other meshes, it is removing them from the nav mesh so that the agent would traverse around it. I'm guessing that if I bring this low enough to where the agent would be able to climb over it, that may just disappear. So yeah, that disappeared there. Let's take a look at some 10 units is actually really high, right? These are meters. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that would go the other way, right? That it should potentially be able to traverse that stuff. But as we go ahead and put in an example here, we'll see what it does. Cool. If I were to make this a rigid body, it should exclude it, right? Add. Well, we'll get to nav mesh obstacle and exclude, but if I add physics, rigid body, now it's excluded. So that would be, we expect this thing to move, so so don't try to calculate a nav mesh or navigate around it. And I guess it just automatically added it to that list because it's a rigid body, but let's see, because I don't think I added it there. Yeah, so I guess that one's, as long as I have that checked, it's going to be in that list. So that's cool. And at the same time, I could do, let's do another cube here. Welcome, AJ Brasil. Okay, so this one should be getting evaluated. Yeah. It just does a nice cut there. So if I then exclude that selected, now we can see that there's no outline there wherever it was placed. So two ways to exclude. I think that should be fine to include. And let's move on. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. If you haven't liked the video and subscribed, I'll be continuing this series with animation retargeting and other features for simulating humans in Omniverse. So encourage you to come back and watch the rest of the series. If you missed the first one in this series, it's called it's covering the omni.anim.people. Check it out. You can have as many nav mesh volumes as you want. So I'm guessing that I can scale this to fit to basically exclude a portion of my plane if I don't want to. Yeah. So I could have navigation regions. And so all this area outside, even though there's a plane there, my agent would not navigate that. Easy enough. Next up, nav mesh obstacles. Any prim can have a nav mesh obstacle, so it doesn't have to be a mesh. And these are fixed bounding shapes. They're either boxes or cylinders. Okay. And then we'll try generating our first navigation path. So let's create a. I guess we could do one. We could do a couple. We do an X form, and we just need to add navigation obstacle, and there we go. So now we can just say this area here is not traversable. What else can we do here? Here are the properties that we can manipulate. So that will scale our box. I wonder if it'll respond to X form scale. Yeah. So you could do either or. These are separate properties though, so that might get confusing if you go about scaling both the box size here and also apply a scale transformation, but the choice is yours. Cool. And then if I want to change the shape, offset, what does that do? So that's going to offset it from the object origin. You can see there that my X form origin is still there, but I can move in any XYZ direction to offset it. So that's helpful. And change the shape to, and I'm guessing that these won't do anything until I swap over to cylinder. And there we go. Cool. So that's a plain X form, but like we were saying, we can add this to any prim. You probably want these to be transformable prims, but just to try to break it, I guess, what happens when you put it on a scope. So a scope doesn't have any X form. And good job, team. It looks like you can't add it to a scope. There's no navigation menu there, so good work to whoever QA'd that bit. So yeah, let's add something else. But you could maybe add it to a light or to sound. What would be something wacky? I guess you could, like a flow emitter would be interesting, right? Maybe you have a fire and you want people not to walk into the fire. So there's my flow emitter doesn't have a transform either. It has a position. I'm guessing I can't add it to that. Yeah. No worries. We'll do a light. Whoa. And there's a navigation menu, and I can add an obstacle. And I guess I could add, what size did I use here for the, there it is. This nav mesh is getting wacky here. All right, so that works. If anybody has a good reason why they would do this, let me know. I'm having trouble thinking why you'd want your light to influence the nav mesh, but it's doable. Can you trigger volumes just like Unreal Engine? If by trigger volumes you mean like have your agents use one volume and then at a certain point switch to a different volume off of scripting, I think you can. If that's not what you're asking, let me feel free to clarify. There's an API for this, and I think omni.anim.people would we could look at that. I think that'd be a good thing to look at when we dig more into that with omni.anim.people. But I'm guessing you can do that. Cool. So let's do now. Let's generate some path and see what it does. So I'm going to create an X-form here just to see. Oh, why do I have caps lock on? Yeah, I've seen code where the nav mesh comes into play. So I have a feeling you could probably just create a new nav mesh object and interact with that at a certain point. Okay, so that's going to be my goal, and I'm going to put it right behind that box. So my agent should be walking. It's going to come from 0, 0, 0. I think I haven't moved this one. I translated it in Z, and it should move somewhere out there. So now, keep in mind, we're playing with all the low-level stuff here, right? This is the developer API and workflow. We are omni.anim.people is an example of building on top of that and making it a little bit more user-friendly. And then I'm sure more people are going to be building more tools leveraging this technology. So script editor, we will dock that down here, paste that in. So we're going to get the nav mesh API, omni.usd. We're going to get the stage, acquire the nav mesh interface, and then we're going to query the nav mesh for a path going from point A to point B, and then it's going to give us traversal points. So let's try it. We'll run this bit. That should be safe. Can't copy the values yet, or maybe we can. So this is my agent. Copy and paste. How many parentheses do I have there? And then my goal. Copy and paste. And what did we get? So it's going to go 0, 0, 0, and navigate a bunch of points. I could create some points and visualize these points to see what the heck is going on. But the fact that we got values back sounds like it figured it out. New path points will be generated along the nav mesh. We're developers here. We can write some code, right? How do we want to do this? I kind of want to do this with since I'm writing some real code here at this point, I want to use I want to send some commands over here, but I haven't set this up yet, so let me set this up and see if it'll accept it. And then we'll do some of this. I think that's worthwhile, right? Visualizing these points, get an idea of what that feedback looks like, what the results look like. Because other than that, what I was thinking of doing, I wanted to dig into the API a bit more and see what else is available. But I think this is a good exercise. All right. This bit's done. So now if I come over to my file here, and then I get thrown off by the Isaac Sim icon. I'm looking for an Omniverse symbol, and it's the Isaac Sim icon that I need to click on. All right, so we've got that. So now yeah, okay, cool. So that's connecting to Omniverse, so I can run and rerun that. It's not going to find this API, but that's okay. I just need USD from Pixar, import USD, USD geom, and SDF and GF just in case. And then we're going to USD what do we call this? USD geom dot points dot define world path points. Give it a stage. Okay, so now if I head over to Isaac Sim, I should see now nothing. What did I mess up here? I didn't see an error. Console. Did I run selected? There we go. So I didn't run this line. And now, nope, we're almost there. String stage. And it wanted an SDF path. Stage and an SDF path. So I need to do SDF.path. Whoops. I did it backwards, that's why. There we go. Sweet. So now, come back over here, and there's our path points. Okay. And this is going to have, so we're going to give it points. Those are going to be all the point values. Widths, we will also set to some reasonable size. And that's all we need. Okay. I do want to check here before we go too far. How do I work with a carb float 3? Can I unpack that or do? Maybe I can convert that into a list. Yes, perfect. So USD will like that. Back to VS Code. So we have all of our points. We need to add it to the points attribute. And we also need a width attribute of the same length. So geom points get attribute points. Points header. Can I do this all in one go? Nah. I think what we'll do is we can do it in one go. But what I'll need to do is convert the points. So points is equal to can I come one more check here. Can I convert this to tuple? Yes, tuple is going to be better than list, I think. Tuple point for point in points. That should do it. And then width is equal to, you could set one value for all the widths as a constant for every point, but I have to look that up, so I'm just going to do it this way. Points, what do I want to do here? I think I just want to do 0.5 times, that's actually going to be too big probably, times the length of points. So it's going to give me an array with n number of values that are all set to 0.5. And now I can do geom points dot get attribute widths set. And that needs to be plural. Okay, I think we're in business. I need to get the prim. Get attribute is a member function of a prim, of a USD prim, not a USD geom points. So I didn't select anything. There we go. Why tuple instead of list? We can try lists. I thought USD has a better, likes to convert tuple directly to the this is a 0.3f is the data type, which would be basically a GF vector 3, vector 3f. So I thought it converts tuple natively, but it might also for lists. So we can try it. But let's see what it did here. There it is. That's totally wrong. This cube is not participating here. In fact, it looks like this cone isn't either anymore. But that's cool, right? We've visualized our path. Maybe a curve would have been cool to do, but just offhand, that's what it came to mind. And then I can rerun that code with the new values as we debug this a bit. What I will do is I'm just going to move this up to the top. So the question was why not list? I think list may work. I just was being cautious. No error there, and it looks like it took it okay. So yeah, list is fine too. Thanks for asking. All right, let's take a look at our nav mesh to see what's going on. Before we debug what happened to those, I really just want to try this one, for example. This one should definitely work, right? It needs to go around this circle. Copy that path, or that position, and paste it into here. There is something funky about the vertical position of these points, which I need to investigate in a moment. Let's run all of it just in case. Okay. So now the point's updated. I completely replaced the values in these attributes. So these points disappeared, and now these showed up, and that looks correct. Does it look? It looks like it went right on the border there. So I thought, where was this? These bake settings. I thought maybe this should have an effect on that. Let's do something crazy here, see if how that changes. Oh, okay, so I went straight up square on that. Let's take a look at this X form to see. I didn't change it to still set to cylinder. There we go. So yeah, I guess at a certain point, it just becomes a square if I make that radius too big. So that's kind of a buffer between where your nav, to account for the width of your agent so that you're not intersecting into walls. So let's regenerate those points. Cool. So you can see it does hug right on that boundary, but because we've taken into account the that radius, it wouldn't really intersect this what would be the maybe the wall of this pillar. Cool, cool. All right, let's see what happened with these. Oh, the cone is excluded because it's a rigid body. And this one, is smaller. What did I do with this cube? I don't know what I did to this cube. I got a scale issue. Or does it have something to do with the nav mesh settings that I changed here? Blah, 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 blah. I don't think so. Let's just create a new cube just in case. No. Is it going to be... It shouldn't have anything to do with the radius that I set. This was 0.5 before, but if anything, I'd expect the size to be bigger. The boundary size. So I'm not sure what's up with that one. Either way, what we could do is set an obstacle. And now that looks to have matched the size here. All right, well, let's try setting the goal now. Behind, regenerate the points. And what did we get? No, what did I mess up here? Oh, I didn't update the, copy the values from here. I could, I mean, at this point, I should just be getting the values directly from the prim, but this is the last time that I'm going to use this, I think. All right. There we go. Cool. So I think we've got an idea of how the nav mesh works, how to generate the points. Next thing that I wanted to do is look at the API, see if we can find anything else in there. Any questions? Can we visualize the there was one other question here. Hey, funky boy. What is NavMesh for? NavMesh is a tool for basically figuring out or being able to tell agents, autonomous agents, simulated humans, or any moving object, where it can traverse. So what areas are traversable in a scene, versus non-traversable. So what we did here is we set up a ground plane, set up some obstacles. We can it'll generate a path for us based off of that nav mesh. It'll bake the nav mesh based off of our scene contents, and then it will also on demand generate a path for us, and then we can store that path and use it when we need it, or use it in real time. It'd be cool to get non-linear splines from nav mesh and not just shortest path. Yeah, but I mean, you could in a way generate that yourself. Not yeah. I mean, you could technically generate that yourself with the information that you have here. But yeah, I think that would be an improvement. It's a good question. We have the new animation channel in on Discord, and the animation team has been pretty responsive there. So if you want to drop in that feedback, they've been checking out what folks are saying about omni.anim.people and everything. But the other question was, can we visualize the points by moving the agent on the path? Yes. I think we can do that today. So what we can at least do is we can just use these points and move our object along those points. We may even be able to use action graph for this, but let's think about that in a little bit. There could be audio issues. I'm getting a notification that the streaming is having some trouble. You guys hearing me okay? Okay, cool. Yeah, hopefully it'll clear up in a minute. I am off VPN, so I can't, there's not much more I can do. Okay. All right, so let's look at this API. See if there's anything else we can do. This is coming from Omni Navigation Core, so let's start there. This is interesting. This is the first time I've used that button in Isaac Sim, and I feel like it did something different here. Yeah, it didn't open this extension. It opened Isaac Sim, the root. That's okay. We can find what we're looking for here. Omni. Blanking here. Omni.anim. Is it in the extension cache? Yeah. Core. Omni scripts. Let's open a few of these. Sure. And bindings. This isn't going to be documented, maybe. So we'll need to do some extra sleuthing. Okay, so we've got the schema. That's handy. If you wanted to make nav mesh prims yourself, you could use a schema for that. It looks like we have some commands too, so you can actually don't need to go that deep. But you can see here that the command is just using the nav schema tools, creating a nav mesh volume. The interface has some more stuff here. It looks like we haven't made the publicly documented that yet, but we can use it and look at usage examples here and figure out what's available. And this is kind of at your own risk, right? This isn't necessarily public API yet, so could change, could break, but Still fun to look at. These are the nav mesh settings that you can save as preferences from the UI, and you could also get them from here if you needed to. Cool. And so I wanted to see what, there were some cool functions here. So you can get the number of nav mesh volumes. Guess that's all they use there. Obstacle schema, cool. So that one, I don't know if there's a command for this one, but if you wanted to add make something an obstacle, you could add the schema to it. All right, and then one more. Just a little bit more digging here. Ooh, those are good tests. Ooh, there's a nav mesh event stream. Nav mesh saved, nav mesh loaded. So those are your events that we can listen for. Those are going to be on this nav variable, which is probably coming from, is that one. Okay, so let's look a little bit more at that. That's coming from where am I? That's coming from the bindings here, I think, because the script doesn't have much. Yeah, I didn't see any variables there. Okay, so let's take a look at that from in here. I don't think we'll get any doc strings if we don't have any Python interface file. Oh no, I'm hanging. All right, that was a bad idea. Oh, it no, what happened is Isaac Sim launches by default with a command prompt. So it showed up in the command prompt and it blocked the UI thread. Okay, so acquire and release interface, that's expected. And then we have baked, bake cancel, bake failed. So those are kind of internal, not very useful events, I guess. I can't think of anything that I'd want necessarily for that, unless you're trying to do some sort of dynamic nav mesh, maybe. Okay, this should be back now. And so let's take a look at the iNav interface. And that's going to show up here again. Aha. So we can cancel nav mesh baking, create a nav path. That's what we're using. Well, we're using query nav mesh path. This one. This is interesting. So I think this is what you were asking for is this would be a spline. Yep, that should potentially generate a spline. The output is an object, so that's not very helpful. Again, like I said, and create and oh, that's interesting too. Like I said, this is us just digging into this and kind of seeing what's to come. So you could try to decipher it. It's obviously the dev team is not necessarily recommending digging into this right now. This is just me. But yeah, I like to see what's coming, what may be possible. I think I reached the end there. Validate nav mesh point. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's enough digging. So I would like to sculpt something more interesting as far as a ground plane. I want to see this working on more than just a flat plane. I mean, flat plane is pretty good already. But I know you guys also asked for let's move the cube along those points. I feel like I could show that, but we are going to. That's what omni.anim.people does really well already. So I don't know if it's worth it. I guess if you wanted to simulate other stuff, then that's not people. Then you may want to see how to do that. But I'll let y'all voice of the people. What do you want to see? You guys want to see what this looks like on a sloped surface, or do we want to try moving along those points? One quick test would be what happens if I rotate this plane? Is it gonna? It should slope the yeah. Oh, nice. So that's already looking positive, right? So if I move this goal down, that's about right. And then rerun this. Did it get it? Where did it go? I don't know. I got it. I got new output. Would shader level displacement update the nav mesh? I don't think displacement is currently supported, so I don't think that it's a non-issue at the moment. But I guess that would be a feature request for the future. Something to look out for. But yeah, I don't think that's something that we need to address currently, just because I'm pretty sure we don't support it yet. And I just wanted to check to see max slope would be 30 degrees. I guess let's just go crazy here, just in case. I'm gonna close this window because keep misclicking. Nah, no good. All right, let's move on to the sculpted plane and see what's up. Okay. Let's save this scene because it's a little interesting. And we can do a new one here. Let's open up Blender. I guess another test that we could do. Maybe I can save myself some of the sculpting work is what happens if we try it on this flight. Okay. Almost there. Just loading a bit more. While we're waiting, is it coming? I've been using this is my first time using the NVIDIA Broadcast app, and it's pretty cool. I got the noise removal for the audio, background removal, and echo removal, and the new eye tracking, which works pretty well. Like if I'm talking directly to the camera or reading something on screen, I think it's pretty great. I think my glasses may get in the way. I haven't tried without my glasses yet. And this is a pretty big scene and may take some time. But I'm pretty happy with the NVIDIA Broadcast app. I think may be the best out there. VRAM, I think it's doing okay. Like I'm only using 2.8 gigs, and this is with Omniverse open too, and the and NVIDIA Broadcast. I do wonder if the issues that I'm having with streaming is because of the NVIDIA Broadcast. It says my bit rate is really low right now. Maybe the broadcast is what's slowing it down. I don't know what I'm doing here. Why can't I? It's got this flight camera that I don't know how to navigate with. There we go. Let's create a cube so that I can figure out where the origin is. There you are. All right, this is at some very high elevation. 27,600 probably meters. Nope, it's in. We scaled this down. So it's actually millimeters. No, I can't do math. But something very small. Interesting. create navigation nav mesh volume. And I need to move this way up there. Ooh, this might be a bad idea. So it actually calculated the bounds, I think. So it may be trying to, maybe auto bake is not a good idea right now. Could be trying to bake the whole thing. Okay. Scale. The simpler sculpted example I was thinking might have been easier. Okay, so there's our way out in the sky. Come on. Zero. 27,600. How was the scene created? I don't know. Good question. I haven't investigated this one. It is a nice scene though. There's like this camera thing going on here where it almost feels like a Zolly the way that it warps as I zoom. Okay, moment of truth. What is this gonna do? I've got, oh, my nav mesh is baking. Look at that. Maybe I should cancel first. Oh, maybe it is lens distortion. So more than VRAM in this case, I'm using. I've eaten up quite a bit of RAM, but that may all just be from the nav mesh baking. All right, while that's going, I'll do a little bit of sculpting here, and feels like a classic Blender tutorial. First, delete the default cube. No. I need some subdivisions here. This doesn't subdivide. That's okay. There is an easier way. I know there is, but we're here. This isn't what I want, is it? I can apply this. What's it gonna do? Oh, well, that's good enough. So let's scale this. Wow, it's been a while since I've done Blender. There we go. I'm doing Maya hotkeys. I have no idea what scale this is, but we can always scale in Omniverse. Let's see how we're doing over here. Yeah, this got hung up. I should just kill this. All right. Also, I think once I go into sculpting, there we go. Once I go into sculpting, I could also subdivide at that point. So inflate. No. More strength. And then if I control, it should make a dent here. All right. What is... I'm in sculpt mode. What is the... There was an option here to add more resolution, but I don't remember where. Here we go. Remesh. Nope, that looks terrible. All right, that's good enough. It's something. Omniverse, export. I'm just opening Isaac Sim now. Okay, Isaac Sim. Where are you? In the meantime, I will redeem myself. No, not enough time to redeem myself. I suppose we could bring in this one. Yeah, and then import. Import is not going to allow for bringing in USD, so we'll use add a reference. We called this hills. Okay, All right, very big. That's okay. All right, that should be, yep, lined up with the original ground plane. Should be able to hide this one. My volume is still at a good size. Grid is annoying. Press G to hide it. And we can go back to rebaking. So we go to the nav mesh volume, edit nav mesh settings, auto rebake. And I'll nudge this just to get it to rebake. Yeah. Looks like it didn't get the hills. It did here, roughly. I want to show that. Yeah. It looks like there are non-traversable bits. So it cut those out from that hill. So let's see what we can do here. If we make this wild. See, this is where this doesn't make sense to me. I would think increasing max slope would make this nav mesh more full. Which kind of does, but yeah, doesn't want to go up the hill. And then max climb. All right, we may need to ask about this one. Whoa. What did it do there? Nasty. All right, well, I will ask about this one because I think we should support this. And I don't have any other ideas here for I don't think caching anything is gonna improve this here. Nope. All right. Well, that's all I had. That was my final test. Any other questions here? Next week, I will hopefully have an answer for this bit. We can review this, and then we'll play around with mesh with animation retargeting. That will be another core technology of the simulated humans that that we should get a better handle on. That way, we can bring in our own characters into omni.anim.people and have and animate our own folks. Make an oriented jam. I've never had a jam that's oriented. I think I know what you mean by oriented jam. Some a developer jam with some some focus. Yeah, let's see if I'll see if we can get one of the animation developers on, and we can just talk about all these things much more in depth than what I can do. But I think it'd be good to go through these learning examples together, and then we can have some more questions that we'll be ready to ask after having this overview. I haven't had a chance to explore all this tech yet, so I wouldn't know what to ask. Like the sloped nav mesh just occurred to me as I was playing around with it. Cool. So we'll end a little early if nobody else has any other questions. Don't have much more to explore with the nav mesh for today. Thank you for joining. I hope you found this useful. Like I said, next week animation retargeting and a little bit of review on the nav mesh if we can get some answers. Let me know in the comments and chat if you have any other ideas. Join us on Discord, where we can talk more about this new tech. Thanks everybody for coming. See ya.